on this computer, and that recording is now running, so we are up and moving. Everybody's muted, so thank you for that. We're going to get right into our discussion on APA formatting, and we're going to get going. Let's pray, and then I have two things I was going to mention to everybody before we got started with this, but let's pray first. Father, you have a plan for us. You have a reason why each one of these students is in HUEN 121 online. Reveal that reason, even if it is simply to take the next step. May they understand what your plan is for them, exactly when you want them to know your plan, not before, not after, of course, but in your perfect will. We love you. Amen. All right, folks, here we go, APA formatting. Now, before we get there, two things I want to mention. I put this out in an announcement today on the course site, so just heads up on this, especially if you're watching, not attending live, just heads up on this is what's going on. I graded your comparison, contrast, annotated bibliographies. Now, when I went through that, I had not rechecked the sample that you all had been working off of possibly, or what you had seen as a possible example. So I had a thought in my mind as to what I should be seeing, and I kept seeing these consistent issues with spacing that was between the title and this first citation and the first annotation as excessive. And I also kept seeing things like retrieval dates where I shouldn't be seeing those things. So when I got done, I realized as people started emailing me that I just followed the sample. Well, the sample was outdated, and I thought it had been changed with the semesters, but it hadn't been. And that's on me for not checking that as I should have checked it. But it's since been updated, and we're going to go over. It's perfect that we're having this tonight because we're going to go over what some of those mistakes were. But if you want to see what the new comparison contrast sample would look like, you can go see it now, even though you don't need to do that. But I went on everybody's grade who I took off a point for, or 2 points for the excessive spacing, or points for including retrieved from dates, and I gave those points back. And you can see that in the comments of your grades. Some of you that didn't account for you one way or the other, but just heads up on that. Now tonight you're supposed to have with you something that you were working on, which was the APA formatting worksheet. You're going to, tonight's notes, for those of you watching, you're going to be uploading that completed worksheet, as well as some of the things I'll point out to you now and moving forward. So if you are watching this video, having not been with us live, what I want you to do is I want you to write down right now on the top of that sheet that you will then upload with a picture. I want you to write on the top of that sheet how much you knew about formatting, APA formatting, before you began this course. Now, for those of us here tonight, somebody tell me, how much you know about APA formatting before you began this course? Did any of your high schools use APA formatting? Talk to me.
I didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
This is the first time I heard about it.
So Eli, did you know about MLA or Chicago or anything like that before this course?
No, I'd never really used it before.
Okay, very good. So now you come to the understanding that, who's that, Natasha?
Yeah.
Okay, did you know anything about the APA formatting before you started this course?
Yes. I don't know how to turn my microphone off.
Okay, I can shut it off for you, no problem. I'll mute you now, but did you know it? How did you know about this before the course?
I read it.
Okay, so you just knew it from past reading. Okay, I just muted you. So anybody else you knew or didn't know about APA before you began this course with us? I remember to bring my glasses down a little bit so I don't glare off everybody. Anybody else? All right, well, I'm with you. The first time when I went to college, the first time I knew about any kind of formatting was when I hit it with the front doors. I didn't know about MLA, APA, Chicago to Arabia, and things like that before I got there, but now I definitely do, and you will too. As you work through life at Maranatha, you are going to, or really across the U.S., wherever you go to undergraduate, graduate, doctoral school, whatever you do, you will be working with some kind of formatting. And if you are in education, if you're in nursing, if you're in the medical field, if you're in the psychological field, whatever you are working in the technical side, usually we work with APA. In the humanities side, often we'll use MLA. In fact, this course used to include MLA, I'm pretty sure. And at times tonight, my mind might switch back and forth between MLA and APA. I might tell you something that's wrong. I'll try not to do that, but just heads up, since I work with both often, I may mess up in that way. But tonight we're focusing on APA workshop. And even your annotated bibliography, your annotated bibliography for your comparison contrast paper, for many of you, may have been your first time using APA to an extent. And so that's why it was only worth 25 points. Not worth that many points. It was a stepping stone. And some of you, it got your attention. For others of you, it just firmed up that you did well with the tools you have. So let's keep going. So this APA workshop will document the answers that you filled in. And the document is what you're going to upload for the notes of the session. And you can take extra notes on it as you would want to. Now, open your writer's reference, please. And those of you with earlier editions, I'm sorry, but I'm only going to be working with numbers from the 9th edition. But the 9th edition, you can turn to page 477 to 478. And we're going to be using that section based on APA 6, which I'll tell you, all of these sort of books are about to be updated because APA 7 just came out very recently. So all the colleges and universities that use it will start updating their systems here soon. But for right now, we're in APA 6, 6th edition. And again, just so you can say you saw it, this manual is the American Psychological Association's manual for publication, which is what the APA manual is. You can see right here it says 6th edition. There's a new one, 7th edition, like I just said. And this book, you'll notice it also contains MLA and APA. It also contains CMS. So this book is not even the compendium of knowledge concerns APA. That's found in the manual. So you're getting little bite-sized chunks of it, which is fine. That's what you need right now. So anyway, general analysis for the course. When you turn your paper, you've submitted your annotated bibliography. If you're going to include new sources, add them in to a separate document to turn in with your comparison contrast paper, and you'll do so by providing what you see here in that document, links to the different things that you have found if you're adding from your annotated bibliography to your comparison contrast paper. CC reminders, you're going to review the paper guidelines, which to get there, you're going to go to videos and PowerPoints, and then you can see the instructions for the sample in paper documents, 750 to 1,000 words. You'll also see the sample argument paper for sample references page. Now tonight, we are looking ahead. You got to keep this in your minds tonight. We are looking ahead. We're going to talk about things that deal with the argumentative paper and things that deal with the CC paper. And specifically, think about it this way. Your CC is going to be easier as far as APA goes. It's your first toes into the water. It's your first step into APA. So some of the structure of the comparison contrast paper is slightly different than what we're going to demand of you for the APA because it is your first attempt. So we'll show you that in a little bit, but heads up on that. There will be a sample, so you will have a sample references page on that sample argument paper you can see in the future. And you're going to follow any comments made about source citations on the annotated bibliography. Now, I made today very not general, I made specific points about your references on that annotated bibliography as they should have been completed using this reference work, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But so what does APA demand? Well, for your argument paper, again, the full APA, for your argument paper, when we are full go, you are going to have a title page and a header. That title page and a header look very unique. We're going to show those to you in a second. However, for the comparison contrast paper, you don't need a title page with header. Instead, I'll show you what you need. It will be much like you turn in for your AB. Both papers will include the references page, however. That is the final page of the document, so those will be the same. And as I said, here is the final page of the document. So, questions so far? I've hit a lot. I know I'm going fast, but we got 30 slides to get to. I want to make sure we get 51 slides to get through. I want to make sure we get to everything. So far we've covered APA, just in general. It's a formatting guideline used in the sciences. We've said that this comparison contrast paper and the argument paper will use them in differing degrees. And so far we've said that the comparison contrast paper will not require a title page with header, but the argument paper will. The comparison contrast paper and the argument paper will both require references, a references page, which is the final page. So let's go back now and look at this APA style. So the formatting styles may be new for you, and you're going to use several of these in college. At Maranatha, if you're using Turabian, or Chicago, you're going to be in history class. If you're using MLA, it's probably going to be an English literature class. If you're using APA, it's going to be an education class or one like this. The writer's reference provides you with all three, which is why we have you purchase it, because it is very useful. And really, if you get one down, you get the other ones down. They're just small. They are small variances between the three of them and others. So there are quick guides for you. There is a references page instruction handout that you can find in the course. And there is an APA in-text citation guide, which also shows you quick references for how to cite sources. Now, even those two words, how to cite a source, you've been working on that a little bit in your book and in your exercises. I know those words can be scary, but again, we're moving quickly tonight, but we are going to be talking about citing sources. So those handouts are available under the APA format resources on the course's sidebar, so make sure you go there. So to make sure you are a little bit conversant, we're going to have a scavenger hunt right now. What I'd like you to do is get all the resources you have available, be it your book, or you can go to your computer screen and see some of these things, and just whoever has the correct answer first, just chime in, and we're going to keep this moving, but I want to give some time for some feedback here. So what font and font size should you be using for every paper you turn in for me? You might know this off the top of your head. You might not even have to look it up.
12.
12 is the size. And the font? Go ahead, Wolfbridge Mountain.
Times New Roman.
Yeah, TNR 12. If you ever see a note from me that says TNR 12, you got to make sure that you are using Times New Roman 12-point font. Now, oftentimes when you add a page number, it is added into the default Calibri 11, which you'll need to change out. Now, this is also the time when I say be using Microsoft Word. You can get Microsoft Word for cheap through Maranatha, being a student. You can purchase it full price and use it between now and the time that you end your college life and even after. But you should be using Microsoft Word. I'm not going to be listening if someone says I use Google Docs and mess me up. I'm not helping you with that. I'll help you with Microsoft Word because that's what's required of you, and that's what the professional world is going to ask you to use. Which kind of source page ends the paper? Works cited, references, or bibliography? What's it called? We actually just went over this. Darcy? I read your lips, and I know you said references page, even though I didn't hear you. So good job. Yes, we want a references page. APA uses references page. Does anybody know what MLA would use? This is brownie points. Anybody know? The MLA would use the works cited. The MLA would use the works cited. So this, let me see if I can write. Let me write. So this right here would be APA. This right here would be MLA. But we want the references page. All right, moving on. What types of citations, footnotes, endnotes, or in-text citations? APA, we want these. I skipped the question too fast, but we want in-text citation. In-text citation is what we're working with in APA. That means what you write in the body of your paper should key us back to your references page. We'll go over that in a little bit. Okay, next part. What three pieces of information belong in the APA in-text citation? You had exercises going over this week, so you tell me. Three pieces of information that should be in the APA in-text citation. Tanner?
The author, the date, and the title of the article.
2 out of 3 is pretty good. Good try. We have the author's last name. That's good. The year, which would be the date. And then we need the page number. Okay, so the author's name, year published, and page number. Good job. Thank you, Tanner. Good job. Yes, those are the 3 things we're going to need. Now, sometimes we won't have a page number. Sometimes we can put a paragraph number in there, but these are the 3 things we need, and we should usually have at least 2 of them, the author's name, the year published. If the author's name is in the text, does it need to appear in the parenthetical citation? So if I have a signal phrase, if I'm saying Tanner said blah blah blah, ending parentheses, does his name need to be in the parentheses after it was already stated in the sentence? Yep, you're right, Zach. It doesn't. You don't need to repeat his name. If you use it in a signal phrase, which is it means in the sentence itself leading up to the parenthetical citation or the in-text citation, you don't need to use it again. If you cite the same source twice in one paragraph, do you cite it differently the second time? You can look in your book for this one. In fact, I want you to go through your book. If you don't know this one, I want you to go into your book and I want you to figure this one out. And you can find this one out on, unless somebody's already, I don't see anybody calling my name or anything, so. Anybody see it?
You don't need to mention the year.
The second time through, you would cite it differently, and the second citation, however, it would not be that you don't need to mention the year. Good try. I'm sorry. Tanner, was that you who said you don't need to mention the year?
Yes.
I'm sorry. The change is you need the author's name and page number. You don't need the year. So yes, you're right. Good job. No date. I don't know what I heard the first time I heard you say that, but you're right, Tanner. Yes, you don't need the date. You need the author's name and the page number, but not. And so that's on page 496. 496 has that answer, and under it says multiple citations to the same work in one paragraph. So this is page 496, number 11. So again, this is where your writer's reference should be coming in handy for things just like that. All right. So these answers are here for you when you, hey, I already cited them once. What do I have to say again? Good job, Tanner. Sorry about missing the first time. Do you use commas in the citation? In the in-text citation, do you use commas? Head bob. Just find one really quick. You can even be there right there on page 496. You can find an example of this. In the in-text citations, do you use commas between the elements? Zach, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do use them between the elements. So between the author's last name and page and date and page number. Does the citation come before or after the period of the sentence? So do we end the sentence before or after the citation?
After.
You're right. We end the citation. The way I worded that was funny. We end the sentence after the citation, which means we put the period. So here's the key word. We put the period after the citation is over, which means the citation comes before the period. And we'll see an example of that right here. Notice we have, here's the page number. First of all, so why are evolutions opposed to the fairness of this area? Matthew Bowden, 1982. So here we have author and year in the signal phrase. We call this a signal phrase. And then we have the quote. Long quote is now directed to ensuring that contradictory views of evolution never receive any publicity. Page 117, period. Notice there is nothing right here at the end of the quote before the citation. It is only after the citation that we see the period. Good job. Here it is again. After the citation, we see the period, not before the citation. Okay? Moving on. When does the APA use block quotations? Anybody know? When will we use block quotations?
When there's 40 words, or generally 4 lines.
4 lines would be the MLA rule. The 40 words is correct. So good job. When the quotation is more than 40 words, which if you were saying just in general, Tanner, yes, you are correct. It's usually around 4 lines long. But the MLA, they actually tell you it's 4 lines, not the word count. And we don't really want any block quotations in this paper. I did say that 1 would be acceptable, but I would fight you on that 1. I really will. I don't, because these papers just aren't long enough for you to use somebody else's words of 40 words or more. So how can you shorten somebody else's quote? Well, use ellipses and knock out pieces of the quote. We already went over that in some of the grammar exercises you've done. So make sure you do that. But this is how you would use a block quote moving forward. In a block quotation, does the period come before or after the citation? So in this specific example, where does the period come? in so much as the question, you can imagine it's different than the first answer. Good job, everybody. Well done. Yeah, yeah, you got it. Good job. Yeah, it's before. Well done. Like you said, it's before. Yeah, good job. Yeah. So if you are going to use a block quotation, you're going to make sure that the period comes before the citation. Now, we'll show you again how this is going to be a little bit different. I'm pretty sure we have a slide up here that comes up with an actual block quotation on it. Is the spacing of block quotation single or double? So the rest of your paper is double. Is this block quotation single or double? When you have 40 or more words and you make it into a block quote as opposed to a string quote in a paragraph, do you change the spacing?
No.
No, you don't. You don't change the spacing. It should be double still. Good. And does a block quotation use quotation marks? Does a block quotation, that longer quotation, use quotation marks? Like its little brother, the Darcy's saying no, and Tanner's saying no, and you're both correct. You do not use quotation marks in a block quotation. So I'm not, I thought there was one here, but there is not one immediately available on the slides. So let me see if I can find one. There's probably one in this sample paper in the book, because they should always. Okay, so go to page 531 in your manual. Go to page 531 at references. And you notice what I have on the screen right here. You notice where the quotation, with my finger right here, it is indented and justified. Not justified. It is indented a solid line. So it's the indent is here, and it continues. This is a block quote, and here towards the end you would have the citation, which actually I take it back. That citation is within the quote, so there is no citation to give there. But that would be what a block quote at least looks like for you, is indented entirely. So page 531 provides you with the sample research paper that has a block quote in it, just for your review, generally. All right, what is the spacing within the reference page? Single or double? I even said this a little bit ago, in so much that I said the rest of the paper. Eli, what is it, single or double?
Single.
Good try. No, it's double. So the whole paper should be double, roughly. Tables and figures might be a little bit different, but besides tables and figures, the whole paper should be double spaced. What is the spacing between entries on the reference entry? Not a trick question. Good job, everybody. It's double. Yes, you should have everything double spaced. Should you have a separate title page when using APA? For the argumentative paper, should you have a separate title page? Yes or no? Shake your head. Darcy's saying yes, right, Darcy? Yeah, we should have a separate title page. But is that going to be the case for the comparison contrast paper?
No.
No, it's not. Comparison contrast paper is going to be different. We're going to have the 4-line introductory header that we've already used for the annotated bibliography, will be the one that you use for the comparison contrast paper. And you can see page 525 of Writer's Reference. So if you go there really quick, 525 should be the very first page. Yes, it is. It's the very first page of the example paper. So this is what the title page ought to look like, page 525 of the Writer's Reference. Or you could go to alpurdue.com or wherever that's going to go. And there's no author note on your title page when you get there. Where does the page number in APA paper go? So even on your annotated bibliography, you should have done this. Where does the page number go? Natasha, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Or Jocelyn, can you hear me? Can you prove? Okay, can you go over with this one? Where does the page number go for an APA paper?
The top right margin.
Good job. Well done. All right, went ahead and mute yourself. You're top right. 0.5 from the top, and you're going to use the header feature. You're going to use the insert page number feature, okay? So this is not something you do in the body of the paper. This is something you do in the header of the paper. We're going to show you that in a second again, but this is in the top header. What does an APA header include? Jocelyn, tell me this, please. Can you use your mic, or are you totally on chat, Jocelyn? I'm going to unmute you. Do you have a mic to use, Jocelyn? Probably not, if you're not answering me now. Okay, Darcy, answer this one for us then. What does an APA header include? So what does the header include in an APA? So on the title page, even page 525, you can see what it includes. Oh, that's right. Your mic isn't on either. I forget you too. Eli, what does it include? Just joking, Darcy. Don't forget you, obviously. Eli, what does the APA header include? Right here.
The title?
It is going to include the paper title, yes, but it also includes the running head and the page number. So I'll show you my book right here. You'll notice this is the running head, which winds up in the page number. The running head starts right here, and the page number is over here on this side. So you are going to have the running head on page 1. On page 2, you simply have the paper title. So I will again turn to page 2, which is on page 526. And you'll notice that it's changed. Now you don't see running head and then the title. You just have the title followed by the page number. So that's going to be a little bit of dancing for those of you who've never used Microsoft Word before in this way. You're going to have to get that figured out. You can't abbreviate the title if it's too long, but on the right side of the page, you'll always have the page number. So left side, running head, right side, page number. How is the paper justified? Left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned? Or justified? Which one?
Left aligned.
You got it, left aligned, aligned to the left. Now let's look at some of these things. This is the first page of the comparison contrast paper. You got it? Take a picture of it in your mind. You see it? This is the first page of the argument paper. You notice these are two very different pages. Which one of these is the more formal APA? The comparison contrast paper or the argument paper? Which one is the correct formal APA if you're doing this for somebody else? Which is the full-on APA?
The argument paper.
Natasha, is that what you're going to say too? Zach says argument paper? Okay, good. Yes, thank you for raising your hand. Yes, this is the full-on APA right here. Notice again, running head. Actually, in this iteration, it should be the lower H. But this is correct. Title all in caps, and then the page number over here. But for the comparison and contrast paper, remember, we're doing it a little bit differently. For the comparison and contrast paper, you're going to put your last name before the page number, and you're going to have this 4-line introductory material here to the left-hand side, followed by your title, and then the indent to the body of your paper. So notice something. Last name page number is not on the same line as the first line of the body, which is your name. When you double click in Microsoft Word this header information, when you double click the header information in Microsoft Word, so 2 clicks, let me see if I can get my pen to do it. So in Word you would click and click here, and then all of this lower information would blank out, and all of this upper information will become non-grade, and this would be automatic coloring again. You can work in the header, and then you double click down here in the body, and you're working the body. Please do not put these 4 lines of introduction in the header. Don't do that. Don't do that. Keep them in the body. So for those of you who are watching this video right now, I want you to please just write out this statement. I will not put the 4 lines of introduction in the header of my paper. Okay, so please just write that down. Prove to me that you're watching this video and write that down. Those of you who are here with us, you don't have to do that, so there you go. Anyway, so comparison contrast paper, argument paper. These are 2 different things. This is the one that we've created in-house that we want you to do our way this time to help you out to focus on some easier APA things. But remember, by the end, you'll be doing this one. So here's page 2. Notice if page 1 has running head and then the title and page number, page 2 only has title and page number. We just went over that, so heads up. But following, we have the title, and then right away at the beginning of the paper. Tanner, can you please tell me, how do I insert an indent into my paper? What buttons do I press, or button, on my keyboard?
Are you asking me about the tab button?
Yes, I am, because you got it. It's the tab button. Notice, it is not spacebar 8 times. It's not whatever else you would do to get there. You hit the tab button 1 time, and that tab button is going to give you the correct default indent. All right, continuing this scavenger hunt, we got to keep going. In general, should you include the date of retrieval, date you found a resource for internet sources and databases? Even by what I told you already, you should know the answer. You could know the answer to this. Should you include the retrieval date for your sources? Yes or no? Yeah, Zach's saying no. The textbook might say yes, but the textbook only says yes in a very, very small and usually not what we see way. It doesn't include it in examples. Please do not use the retrieval date. I'm telling you now, I assumed that it had already been changed on the sample and it wasn't, so I'm telling you now, do not use retrieval date. Do you include authors' full names on the references page? In APA, do we use the author's full name? You can look at the references page at the end of the. Yes, good job, Tanner. You do not. We use instead the full last name and the first and middle initials if those are available. Excuse me, as I back up. We use the first and middle initials if those are available. Are book titles italicized, quoted, underlined? Eli, what's the answer to this? Book titles italicized, quoted, or underlined?
They are italicized.
Yes, good job. And that's not even an APA thing as much as that's just a standardized English. If you're typing in English and you come across a book title, you should italicize it on your keyboard. Or if you were writing it by hand, you may underline it. But moving on. Are journal, magazine, and newspaper titles italicized, quoted, or underlined? Zach, you want this one? Are journal, magazine, and newspaper titles italicized, quoted, or underlined?
Italicized.
You got it. That's right. They're italicized. That was either a good guess or I'm glad that you knew it, one way or the other. Well done. So you would see Washington Post and you should italicize it. On the references page, so the last page of the paper, when you're citing your sources in the long way, what do you do with an article title? Italics, underline, quotation marks, none of the above. Darcy, you can even mouth it. Which one you? I can't see the chat, but I think I saw quotation marks, right? None of the above. Good job. You got it. It is none of the above. With a references page, with an article title, you simply use the standard sentence case, capitalization, and structure. A study of Milton's sonnets. Here we have first word and proper noun capitalized, but the rest of those be uncapitalized. What about capitalization? Well, we just went over it. So for journals, magazines, and newspapers, we're going to you're going to capitalize the proper nouns as you would normal names. So you see the American Journal of Medicine. For books, articles, and titles, you're going to capitalize the first word after the colon, which is the subtitle, and any proper nouns. So if you're capitalizing the source, it's all the major words. If it's the title, it is just the major word, first word of the subtitle, and proper noun. These are found in 2 different papers. These are found in 2 different sections of your citation. You have author, date, title of the piece, and then the source. So just think, the title should not be all caps. The source should be normally capitalized. And here's another example, finding home, westward expansion in the United States. Notice we have first word after the title, proper nouns. Pride and Prejudice, first word, neither of these are proper nouns, so neither get capitalized. Each source you use in your paper requires 2 citations. What are the 2 citations? So one is in, like, if this is page number 2, and then we have several pages, and then we have the works cited page, which is like page 7 or so. What are the 2 things that we should be citing? What are the 2? What is it called here? in parentheses, and then what is it called here when you have a citation? What are those two things? Anybody? What are the two citations? All right. They are going to be the in-text citation and the references page. Oh, I did it. I did it. I caught myself. I said works cited. That is incorrect. Works cited is MLA. It should be references page. Please forgive me, but I caught myself, so that's good. Sometimes I don't catch myself, but there we go. I drew a works cited title where I should have drawn a references title. But notice each source, if you're going to quote a tweet from a celebrity, each source, you got to cite it in your paper, in the body and by the text of the body, and then on the references page, which is the final page. Both times you need to cite it. Each of the following slides contains a paraphrase, summary, quotation, and documentation information that goes with it. So, if you want to, you can turn to page 493. We're going to right now we're going to go into a. You're going to be interacting with me and telling me what is missing or what should be somewhere. So you can go to page 493 of the writer's reference, and we're going to practice this technical setup by you answering questions that you see. Okay. So here we got a basic book quotation, book titled To the North. Page number 37, Jake London's the author, publication date 2009. We see here in the text, we have a signal phrase with the last name and page number. What is the only other thing that needs to be here in the citation? I'm going to call on people for these, so get ready. Tanner, what's the only other thing we need? We have author.
Page number.
We have year. The only thing we need left is page number. Is he correct? Yes, he is. We got page 37. Good job, Tanner. Eli, you're next. We got to work with two authors. If you're paying attention on your video right now, this is the third and final thing I want you to do to prove to me that you're reading. I want you to write down, and Eli, I want you to find for us, or do you have a book, Eli? Yes or no?
I don't have a book. I have the.
Okay, you got the PDF or whatever. Okay, so you don't need to do this, but everybody else with a book, you need to tell me what page of the writer's reference can you find this on. But Eli, go ahead and tell us. With a work with two authors, and I see on, what is going on? Why does it keep bumping back? I see here the article title, How to Kill Ants.
Mhm.
I don't see a page number, and I don't see a publication date. So I don't see author, publication date, or page number in this opening or in this in-text citation. So you tell me what should go here in the in-text parenthetical citation.
The date that it was.
Yeah, you need the date published. That's good, but you need a lot more than that. What else do you need? Your mic. I think your mic just unplugged itself or something.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah, but what three things do we need? What should go here?
The page number.
Yes, you will need the page number, but not first. Not first.
Wait, what are you asking again?
I'm asking what should go right here in the in-text citation, the parenthetical in-text citation. What should be here?
That's the date that it was published, I think.
Yes, that will be part of it. But what three things usually go in APA citations? Three things. Author?
The author, the page. No. The
Yep.
author, the page number and the year of publication.
There you go. All three things. Now, you didn't say in the right order. It's author, publication date, and then page number, but you got all three, so that's good. So in this sentence, do we see any of those three things?
No.
Nope, we don't. So that means all three need to be in the citation, which is what we have here. Maple ampersand leaf 2011, page 245. Folks, you get to use the ampersand. You get to use the Shift 7 button. Isn't that nuts? You never get to use the ampersand, but now you do. That's what you always wanted to use, and now you get to actually use it. Tanner's smiling. He likes the idea of it. All right. Scott, Zach, you get the next one. Placement of dates and page numbers. So the date always goes with the author's name. If the author's name is in the sentence, date will appear in the parentheses in the sentence immediately after the name. So wherever you put the date, or you put the author's name, the date should immediately follow that. So for example, if the author's name is in the parenthetical citation at the end, the date will be there too. The page number always goes in the parenthetical at the end of the sentence. So here I have 3 to 5 authors, okay? Zach, you tell me, what should go here if I am saying that so-and-so indicated in their latest book, Jack Sprat, blah, blah, blah? What should go there, Zach?
The authors' names,
Okay.
last names.
Okay, so we got, you walk me through it. What would you, including actually speaking the punctuation, what should we have here in this section?
So are you asking like what I should put in the sentence?
Yeah, what would you put there? If you're
So
right.
it'd be Aleph, comma, Coates, comma, Jones, in parentheses, 2015, indicated that their latest book.
Okay, you identified that we do need these 3. You got it. We need Aleph, comma, Coates, comma. Now, because we're writing in the sentence, we're actually in the standard written English. We do need the and. So Aleph, Coates, and Jones. Aleph, comma, Coates, comma, and Jones, comma. But then we're going to need, as you see here, the in-text, the parentheticals, parentheses, 2015. Okay, so we can keep these authors in the sentence, but we add the date right away. If we put the author and the date in the sentence, we do not need to include them here in this. Indicated in their latest. This format is how you cite these authors the first time. In further citations, it would simply be Aleph et al. Notice this citation right here will save you a lot, especially when you have like 8 authors. Notice, again, this is for 3 to 5 authors. The 6 or more authors. So you can look in your book where you can find what you should do for 6 to 5 authors. Let me get there myself. 6 to 5 authors can be found on page number
495.
495 for the in-text citation. Is that correct? Yes, it is. Thank you for that. 495 for the in-text citation. Natasha, I want you to answer this one, please. So here is the information you need in these 4 lovely green bullets. And you're going to please tell me what should go here in we need authors to go here. So what would you put here in this section following what it says on page 495?
You would put the last name of the first author, et al., and then in parentheses 2002.
Very good. You nailed it. That's exactly right. Good job, Natasha. Thank you so much for that. Sand et al. Period. Left parentheses 2002. Right parentheses. It's hard to say all that, but you got it right. Exactly. Moving on. An unknown author. We don't know who wrote this. What do we put? What goes in the parentheses? Let's see. I'm thinking that no one else has joined. Oh, I messed up. Sorry, I meant to click this button, which shows me Jocelyn, but I'm pretty sure she still doesn't have a mic. So, Tanner, I would have asked you this, and you would have told me it would be the title, the first word of the title, and comma 2000, page 12. But this is the in-text citation. So Tanner, do this one for me instead. You got a web source with no page number. What should go at the end of this? We have the author, and we have the year, but we have no page number. We only have a paragraph number. So what should go here at the end of the sentence?
Paragraph number, like para dot 12.
Good. You're only missing one small thing, and it's small. And if you were
Space.
I guess it's a little bit. I shouldn't say small. You're missing an element there. If you notice on page 495, it says under number 6, work with unknown author. If the author is unknown, mention the work's title in the signal phrase, or give the first word or two of the title in parentheses. well, actually, I take it back. That's not, I thought that was going to say what I wanted to say. Here is what should be there, and Tanner correctly said paragraph 12, but notice we have one more piece of information here that isn't usually there. We have a heading that said bug number increase, which means with this heading, technically, it's like the heading should be included to give us further evidence as to which paragraph it is. So is it paragraph 12 from the start or paragraph 12 from this heading? So when you have headings, your book says this, but it must be elsewhere. I thought it was there. When you have a heading, you need to include that heading as well. But usually what I tell you is this, just heads up, usually you won't have a web source that includes paragraph numbers, so you don't worry about it. You would simply put author and then year. So web source, no page number. Don't use a paragraph number alone. If there's no headers, use the web page title. If you find a PDF file, you should have page numbers. So treat that source as a print source and include page numbers. But again, most often paragraph numbers just don't exist. So what do you do if there's no date? What goes here for no date? Back to Eli. What do we do for this citation with no date?
Hold on just a sec.
No problem. You can find this on page 497. Everybody else?
ND in parentheses.
Good job, you got it. So, but specifically for our purposes here, we need to include our author. So it would be Brown and White because we need the authors. ND, because we always put the year directly following the author. Personal communication. Now this is interesting. Personal communication, you can find this on 497 number 15. Personal communication will be something that is not recorded on your works, on your references page, but it is unique in the in-text citations. So I'm going to go ahead and show this one to you actually. Notice if you are including personal communication, such as a letter that went between the author and Smith, you would say Smith, personal communication, November 2nd, 2005. You give as much information as you have there, including in the sentence you give the person interviewed or the person emailing. So notice if you are I often see this when I have Maranatha students that are in their graduate courses and they're actually doing action research projects for their master's in education. They'll want to refer to things which they have emailed people and gotten responses from, but it's information that we would not include on the references page. Well, then we would use this. We would use this personal communication. I'm not imagining many of you will use this, but just so you know it's there. An indirect source. This one I have seen used quite often in these situations, actually. So, Natasha, an indirect source. This is on page 498, number 18. What do we do with an indirect source for this sentence? So the author is saying that this person, Vince Sockwearer, avidly supported knee socks with saddle shoes, saying they make people look preppy. Notice the use of the single quotation marks within the double quotation marks, showing quote within a quote. What should go there? Natasha, do you know?
As cited in Shoe Lover 2012. PP
Very good.
231.
You nailed it. Well done. And you got the double P there. You have as cited in Shoe Lover 2012 PP period 230-231 right parentheses. Well done. Good job, Natasha. That was an easy one. Now, again, 498, number 18, you can see an example of it. But this is used when Tanner is quoting Eli, who is quoting Zach. Okay, this is used for an indirect quote or a quote within a quote. But the thing you can't forget is right here, the single quotations found within double quotations, as well as cited in. Now notice, Shoe Lover is what we would use to then go towards the references page, and on the left-hand side, a line would be Shoe Lover, not Sock Wearer. We would find Shoe Lover as the author of the source on the references page. Okay, so moving on to the references page. On the final page of the paper, you're going to list your sources in alphabetical order. On page 499, you're going to see a very general guideline for doing that. And I would even point you way ahead to page number 4, or I guess it would be 500. Yeah, but this one is 500. So page 535 and 536 shows you what a references page ought to look like. So if you've never seen it before, there you can see it on 535 and 536. Notice it is in alphabetical order. I should use a different color than red, shouldn't I? I don't know how I can do that in color. Blue. Yes, less frightening. You'll be alphabetical order, and it will be numbered continuously the rest of the paper, which means up here in the corner it would be, page number 7 after you already used page number 8. Whatnot. Tanner, what's up?
Well, two of my authors, I'm using one author, and he wrote 2 different articles.
Yep.
And we wrote one a year before the other.
Yep.
Is there any specific order I should put them in?
Very much so. Yes, very much so. In fact, let's go ahead and find the answer. Anybody can buzz in if you find the answer for this before I can. It's in your book, and it should be found on page number. I see it on page number 502. Are you working with the 9th edition there, Tanner? Page 502, number 7. See that there?
Yes.
Use the author's name for all entries. List the entries by year. And by the way, even if it's the same year, look across the page, and you'll see on page 503 at the top, number 8, there's even something for you if they were published in the same year. Sound good?
Yes.
There you go. And you would use that. You would use the years in the in-text citation to show the difference. Okay, so here's a references page. I showed you an example in the book, and you can find it on the book, but here's an example page. Just a lot of, these are all books. Book, book, book. This is not a book. This is an article found in the Boston Globe, which is a newspaper, and then this is a book. But each of these, you can see BO, BR, F, H, M. This is alphabetical order. It says references, not works cited. We have last name and page number, and the page number continues from the previous pages, so it's not a brand new page. It is a brand new page, but it is not a page into itself. It's not page 1 again. Notice again, this is for the comparison contrast paper. This is for the argument paper. Can somebody tell me what's the only difference between these two? Or there's 2 differences, but they're both at the top of the page. So again, this is what you're turning in soon, the comparison contrast paper, versus the argument page paper. What's the difference? There's a mistake right here. Natasha, go for it.
The second one has the title.
Very good. In the argument, which is the next paper you're turning in, not this one, next one, we have the running header, Creationism Evolution, which is the title, as well as we don't have the last name. Here we have last name, but we don't have the running head. Here we have the running head title, but we don't have the last name. Also, I just found a mistake here. This should just be H, not Henry. Okay. The other thing I was going to show you tonight is I've written on many papers now 0 before, 0 after, double space. This is a screenshot of the way you're going to have to go into Microsoft Word and figure out how do I make sure it's 0 before, 0 after, double space. Well, I would advise you do this. Select Control-All with your fingers, Control-All, which grabs the whole paper. And then this, what I can't show in this screenshot is that this blow up that comes up on the screen, or this option, this screen that pops up to you, is actually found right here on the paragraph tab of the main menu. So you would use the home, tab, then you see clipboard, font. Well, the next one is actually it's right here called paragraph. Then you have styles, editing, voice. So behind this pop out, you have a tab called paragraph. And right here, there's a drop-down button. Click that drop-down button, and this opens up. Once this opens up, you would make it before 0, after 0, double space. So, okay. The other thing I would show you here is, notice how on these pages we have the hanging indent. I know this is taking another step here, but we have left aligned one line. Hit enter. Left align, one line. Hit enter. Left align. Oh, this citation has more than one lines. The second line is indented. You can make this two different ways. You can actually hit enter right here and go to the next line and then hit tab. And that is the manual way of doing it. Or you go here in paragraph after you highlight that annotation and you select special. You click this drop down menu and you will come up with text that says hanging. And you would make that selection hanging, and it would automatically for you, it would automatically create this for you. If you selected all of this citation, it would automatically bump this over for you. So just heads up, I can show you how to do that more one-on-one if we need to. So last slides here, general reminders. Choose good sources, read sources carefully. Make sure that you have chosen citations that will help you, not ones that won't help you. Spread them out. Make sure you aren't using citations in one section. Make sure you're using them throughout your paper. Please don't overdo the citation use. Again, I want you to have no block quotes. I want to hear your words with support from the citations. Explain the significance. We call this the quote burger. I should never see a quote at the end of a paragraph because that means you haven't told me what that quote means. I should see quote, or I should see lead in, quotation, and then you tell me why that quotation was necessary to say. Explain the significance, the quote burger. Always avoid plagiarism. How do you avoid plagiarism? You cite everything, or you cite someone else's works. Remember, you need 3 sources, 6 citations, no more than 10 citations in total, no more than 1 long quotation. And again, long quotation means a block quotation. I'd rather you not use any, but if you are, you can only use 1. But every source you have in your paper must also be on your references page. So if this is reference page and this is here, if we don't see it on page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, can we see it on page 7? No. And if it's not here on the references page, should it be seen here on these papers? No, neither one. If it's not going to be on the references page, it can't be in the paper. If it's not going to be in the paper, it can't be on the references page. You don't just list sources saying that you've used them when you haven't actually used them. So these last 2 points are the same thing in reverse. Upload the document you filled in before the session with any notes you took to receive credit for the session. Outside of you, Tanner, Eli, Zach, Darcy, Natasha, and Jocelyn, because I'm going to give you all credit for being here tonight, interacting with me. Actually, I take it back. I can give everybody but Jocelyn credit. Jocelyn, I'm really sorry about this, but I do need you to upload your notes because I wasn't able to actually interact with you by screen or by voice, so I do need you to upload your notes for me. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this. I'm going to stop the sharing, and I'm going to go ahead